Good afternoon and welcome to the regular briefing session of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners. Delighted to have everybody with us on this beautiful day in Forsyth County. Going to begin with an update on the COVID-19 problem related to virus. And Joshua Swift, if you're there, it's all yours. Joshua Swift, incidentally, is the director of the Forsyth County Health Department. You're on.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I hope you can see my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm, sure do.
Thank you, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. Appreciate this opportunity to come before you again. So I will start with our COVID cases as of March the 11th. Today, we've had 32,425 over the whole, since the pandemic started. In the past 14 days, there's been 865 cases with an average cases of 62 per day and our total deaths of 352 individuals since the pandemic started. You can see our hospitalizations have stayed rather stable for Forsyth County residents in Forsyth County hospitals. It stayed in the 50s, barely into the 70s, and now 57 persons. Our deaths over time, you can see how that number has climbed, has stayed fairly consistent over the past several months. Next, our number of vaccines that we've dispensed. As of March 10th, we've dispensed 46,949 doses. This is through the Department of Public Health and our sites. This is actually 21,000 doses in the past month that we've given. Overall, 28,581 are first doses and 18,368 are second dose. Some more information about COVID-19 vaccination in the county of Forsyth. The number of Forsyth County residents who are fully vaccinated, based on no matter where they went, hospitals, health department, outside the county, is 40,487. That's 10% of the population. And the number that are partially vaccinated, that means one dose, is 62,218, or 16.3% of the Forsyth County population. This is some more a breakdown by demographics and age. So 11% of African Americans in Forsyth County have gotten their first dose of COVID-19 vaccine, 18% of our white population, and 5% Hispanic. Our age, you can see that over 50% of those in the 65 to 74 and 75 plus age range have gotten the COVID vaccine, at least one dose. This next is a graphic you've seen before, looking at our groups. We're currently in Group 3. Group 4 is expected to start later in March on the 24th. And our mass vaccination event, this is starting tomorrow afternoon at the fairgrounds. We're partnering with Novant Health and Wake Forest Baptist Health. Very excited about this event. It's going to start Friday from 3 to 6, and it'll be all day Saturday and Sunday at the Education Building. It's by appointment only. 8,400 doses of Johnson & Johnson single dose will be distributed. And so far, all the appointments are full, and I'm happy to say that 30% of the appointments are from individuals from historically marginalized populations. Good. So we're very excited about this, and just to see the partnership between the three agencies has been wonderful. And then just last but not least, I can't leave out, we're continuing, even though we have the vaccine, we still have to follow the 3 W's of wearing a mask, waiting 6 feet apart, and washing our hands. And that is my comments. And I guess the last thing I'll say is this day and tomorrow are really special because on March 11th of 2020 is that late that evening is when I got a call from the Division of Public Health from the state epidemiologist that we had our first 2 cases. And, we've had over 32,000 cases so far, 350 deaths, but and we're saddened by those deaths and the people that have had severe illness, but we're also now happy to be able to distribute this vaccine and work with our community partners that have been there from the beginning on this, and I'll appreciate all the public health staff, the countless hours they put in. And I'd be happy to take any questions
Mr. Swift, I know this is an anniversary. It's not one that we really wanted or looked forward to, but this afternoon at 3 o'clock, the governor of North Carolina is going to hold another news conference, and the purpose of that is to update everyone from his office on basically what you did. Do you expect anything to change and the current policies are taking place?
I'm not sure. I have heard that there's a possibility they can move up the groups. Group 4, but we'll have to see what the governor says.
Okay, sir. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again, Josh, for the detailed report. I got a couple of emails about the city allowing the recreation centers to be sites for vaccinations. Is that even practical at this point to have those available?
I think that's something we would have to look at, Mr. Elmine. I think right now with our education building at the fairgrounds and the outreach that our teams are doing into the community. Also, we know that there's going to be Winston-Salem State University is going to be a satellite site for the Greensboro FEMA site. There'll be both of our hospitals be working there and partnering with the health department to do more outreach. So I don't know if that is an option, but we can certainly look into that.
Additional questions or comments?
Joshua, quick question. In terms of numbers of the amount of vaccine and doses, how is that with the Johnson & Johnson virus? I mean, a vaccine appears that it's clearly ramping up. So is that, what are we looking at in sort of average per week? How is that going up?
Well, I mean, still the state average, our state baseline allocation is around 1,500 doses per week. So that is still very low. Opportunity with some of those doses from the FEMA site where we could have a few hundred more to do outreach into the community. Also, that the hospitals could use at Winston-Salem State. So I think that'll be roughly 2,000 to 3,000 more doses in general in the community. But this Johnson & Johnson, these 9,000 total doses that we got, we won't see that again till late March, early April, any more Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
So we've got more in the last few weeks and this weekend, but next week, unless things change this evening when we get our allocation, it should be that same rhythm of about 1,500 doses for the health department.
Additional questions or comments? If not, thank you, Joshua Swift,
Thank you.
for your report, that report from the director of the Forsyth County Health Department. Coming up in just a few moments is an update from Forsyth Technical Community College on what's going on at that school and an update from Animal Services and the Humane Society and what's taking place in that arena. We are having a briefing today, the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners, on the 18th of March meeting, which is a week from today. Now we'll turn our meeting over now to County Manager Dudley Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon. Since we've already introduced these items, I thought we might go ahead and do the update from Forsyth Tech and Animal Services, if that's satisfactory.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, so I hope that we have our president of our community college on the line, Dr. Janet Spriggs. Dr. Spriggs, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, County Manager. I'm here, and I'm ready if you are.
Absolutely, very good. Thank you for being here today.
Wonderful. I'm going to share my screen. I think I'm going to share my screen. It is giving me, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
ma'am. Yes,
oh,
sure
wonderful. Okay, great. I'm working from a new computer, and I'm trying to adjust to the new technology. Thank you all so very much for having me here with you today and giving me an opportunity to update you again on some of the things that are happening at Forsyth Tech, and also to talk to you about some of our building projects and capital projects that are funded, of course, with Forsyth County funding. I want to start again with this beautiful picture of our Maisie S. Woodruff Aviation Technology Building, which is very close to nearing completion. I am thrilled to announce to you today our original completion date was planned for August 16th of 2020. And unfortunately, due to issues related with construction, we have been delayed. There were delays due to weather. There were delays due to supply chain issues. There were delays due to subcontractors with COVID-19. But we have persevered and are very happy to let you know that our certificate of occupancy completion date is scheduled for April 2nd with final inspection on April 7th. So very close to that. We will be planning and are already planning an open house and an opportunity to invite the public, to invite all of the commissioners and many other friends of the college in to view the new facility, to learn more about the programs, to meet our faculty, and to meet some students also in the program. And so we are thinking that that will occur in the fall timeframe once we are back in session with the program open and with students that can share their experiences, as well as hoping that by then we will be able to have larger gatherings as a result of COVID continuing to move out of the way for us. Our program courses are slated to begin in the fall. We are actively recruiting both high school graduates and adult learners for the program. We have an aviation pathway for high school students who are currently enrolled in our Career and College Promise dual enrollment program to begin in the fall of 2022. We also have worked with the Jim Shaw ACE Academy, and we will be offering camps at our newly opened aviation center this summer. They're going to be from 8 to 3 p.m. There's a middle school camp that's running in July, and there's a high school camp that's running in July. And we're very happy to be able to partner with the folks at the Jim Shaw ACE Academy to be able to bring those students onto campus. It's a wonderful opportunity for the students in middle school and high school. The camp that they run is very informative and fun for the children, but it also is a great way for us to recruit and to get youngsters interested in aviation and in the career pathways that are available to them through the aviation pathway. We are partnering also with the upcoming Jim Shaw ACE Academy golf tournament. Our foundation is going to sponsor a hole, I think, for them. So we're really excited about that partnership, as well as many other industry partners that are coming together to help us open these programs and get things moving forward in aviation. We have other building projects that are currently underway as well, in addition to the Aviation Center. Our West Campus re-roofing project that is funded through 2/3 bonds. We are replacing all the roofing and the metal wall panels for the auditorium installation. That work has been completed, and we should be closing this project out by the end of March. We have our main creek repairs also funded with 2/3 bonds. That is a project that will not take very long. It had been in design, and we were waiting for approval to utilize those funds, which I believe we have now received. So work is scheduled to begin soon on that, and we hope that that project will be completed by April 30th. The Robert L. Strickland Phase 3 project is in a stage with our architects of finalization of planning and programming changes that we made. There are various internal constituents within the college that are working very quickly with our architects to make those changes now, and we should begin that project by the end of this year. Our Transportation Center addition project is also underway. That is funded with construction bonds from Forsyth County. We have proceeded with a formal contract, which is being submitted to our North Carolina State Construction Office for approval. And we should be moving forward very well, depending on state construction's turnaround time. We should be moving forward as soon as we get that approval from them. Our Hoosier Hall HVAC upgrades project, funded with 2/3 bonds, is being managed by our College Facilities Department now as well. And that it should be finished by the end of this year. I think it's actually finished in second quarter of this year. The Learning Commons project is also funded by Forsyth County Construction Bonds. We are excited about that project, but have not started the design phase on that yet. It will come after we are underway with our Robert L. Strickland renovation project. I also wanted to take a moment just to share some of the impact that the college has experienced as a result of COVID-19. What we have come to learn is that our students are family strong and economically fragile in so many ways. Many of our students have been extremely impacted by COVID-19. They have lost their jobs. They are dealing with other complications from the virus, taking care of school-age children and elderly parents. And a lot of them have been impacted in ways that have caused them to have to reduce the amount of classes that they are taking. Consequently, our enrollment and our full-time equivalency is down 7% for our curriculum students in the spring. We held relatively flat in the fall, but what we have noticed is that many students who were able to hang in during the fall semester have not been able to come back in the spring. Some of them are struggling in what is largely still an online environment, even though we have brought back about 40% of our classes either fully in person or blended or hybrid, which means that there is some component of in-person learning or labs in addition to the online components of the coursework. We have, through our Forsyth Tech Cares office, now supported over 4,100 students with emergency assistance using private funds and or some of our HERF stimulus or Carissa aid money from the federal government. But our students are still struggling in this time. They're not coming back to us as quickly as we had hoped that they would. We do hope, and we have put in place, I should say, numerous mitigation efforts to try and help our students be able to mitigate the barriers that are keeping them out of school. We've had great success with those mitigation efforts. We were able to take some of the money that we have from our foundation, scholarship dollars available from the federal government, and stimulus money, and provide financial support to help get students back in school. So we have had some luck, and I do hope that by the time I come back for my next quarterly update, I will be able to give you better numbers for the second half of our spring semester, as well as an outlook on how our registrations are looking for fall or summer and fall. We started our fall registration this week for our for students that are not high school students. I also want to let you know some exciting news that I hope you have seen in the news about the $5 million Department of Labor grant that Forsyth Tech has been awarded. We will lead a consortium of 8 community colleges in the Piedmont Triad region, and the program that is called the Awesome Project is designed to link the skills that our manufacturing sector employers need to the skills that our students and our job seekers and incumbent workers within the region have. We will be, the project will include an opportunity for us to create an innovative digital badging system that will basically, it's a credentialing part of the project. Students will earn digital badges for the skills that they have mastered, and the digital badging will mean to the employer, whichever employer it is, that the students are coming to them having gained a proficiency in specific skills that they need for their workforce. We are creating business and industry leadership teams. We had already at Forsyth Tech created a new business and industry leadership team model, but through this grant, we are expanding the use of that model through the other community colleges and throughout the region with our employers. We are giving credit to students for prior learning experience, which is a very critical and important part of this grant. And we are focusing on competency-based, student-focused education. Forsyth Tech is the lead and was the awardee for the grant. We will receive directly about $2.5 million of the $5 million, and the other half of the money will go to our partner institutions. And Forsyth Tech will be hiring the staff that will run this program. So we are very excited. We're the only college in North Carolina or consortium in North Carolina to have been awarded the money. And I look forward to sharing a lot of good workforce results with all of you as we move through that grant process. We also were awarded, in conjunction and partnership with our friends at Winston-Salem State University, an AACC. AACC is the American Association of Community Colleges, and we were a community college and university partnership that was chosen to receive an Equity Transfer Initiative grant that allows us to focus on 5 technical pathways that can lead students in our associate and applied science degrees into degree programs at Winston-Salem State to prepare them for bachelor's level jobs in accounting and finance, biological and clinical sciences, computer systems, healthcare management, and nursing. We're very excited about this opportunity. It will allow us to create pathways from those associate applied science degree programs, which are not always transfer degree programs, and prepare more opportunities or provide more opportunities for students to secure strong wage career opportunities in those high demand fields that you see here. I wanted to take a moment also to talk about Carver High School programs. There was a question the last time I was with you about what we were doing at Carver High School, and specifically, I think, recruiting with regards to aviation. We have a very strong partnership with our K-12 school system in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County. We are committed to supporting those K-12 partners, and we understand that in order for us to be able to help more students achieve their post-secondary credential, we have to be in partnership with our Winston-Salem, Forsyth County schools and our Stokes County partners around helping students be successful in high school and preparing them and recruiting them into the right opportunity at the college level. So we don't wait for students to get to 11th or 12th grade before we start trying to help them understand what opportunities exist for them and helping prepare them for how to be successful in college. This is one of our students that you see here. Her name is Chloe Fletcher. Chloe, over the past few years at Carver High School, we have been growing our dual enrollment population of students, those students who are able to take career and college promise classes through the North Carolina dual enrollment program, and they're able to take these classes tuition free. They can stay in high school. They receive college credit and high school credit for the classes. Most of the classes, in fact, double count for both the high school and college credit, and it gives them the opportunity to save time and money. So in December, our Board of Trustees elected to also take another step and to ensure equitable access for these career and college promise students. We also waived the fees, the college fees for the students who are taking, I think it's at least 6 credit hours of career and college promise credit. Chloe is one of those students, and in June, she is going to graduate with her high school diploma. In fact, she is at the top of her class, and we fully expect that she's going to graduate at the very top or very close to the top at Carver High School. In July, she will graduate with an associate in arts program, and she will enter a transfer institution, one of our university partners in North Carolina, as a freshman, but she will have junior standing. That Chloe is one of those success stories and one of those examples of that strong partnership that we have, helping students, and particularly students from disadvantaged populations or low-income students, get a leg up on their post-secondary opportunities. In addition to opening the door to all college programs, we are also focusing at Carver specifically on a few high industry demand courses and programs that offer high wages for just a 2-year degree. So these programs that you see here, we are working on academies and career and college promise pathways to provide students in high school with additional educational opportunity in these areas so that they can gain college credit while still in high school. And when they finish the 2-year program, they are prepared to enter the job market and enter careers at in these high demand fields with high wages as well. One last thing about Carver High School, that we also have established a male mentoring program. We have here as our faculty member, Chris Martin, and this program that Chris, as our career coach at Carver High School, has been able to help us develop is a multicultural after-school leadership and entrepreneurship mentoring program. As I mentioned, Chris was working for us for a long time now. He has been our career coach for a couple of years at Carver High School. This program is a research-based training and mentoring program, and it's targeted to freshman males, helping them utilize both online and in-person curriculum, workshops, and activities. And we're very excited about the work that Chris is doing in that regard. I'm ending here just with this beautiful drone photo of our city and our college campus that I just love. One of our employees took this with his drone, and I wanted to share that. And that concludes my formal report, but I would be happy to answer any questions that any of you might have.
Dr. Spriggs, that was a very positive, good report. We have questions or comments from the commissioners?
I've got one. Dr. Spriggs, thanks for the report. As always, very thorough. And I appreciate the featuring of Carver and the great success there. And actually, I just coincidentally spoke to the Carver High School principal 2 days ago this week about something totally different, but just glad to hear that success. The question I have is on the College Career Promise program, because one of the barriers that has been an issue has been the actual calendar, the school calendar, inability to finish. Community colleges a long time ago changed their calendars to finish before Christmas and to be in line with K-12 education. Then the K-12 calendar got all messed up, and the semester ends later. So what kind of numbers? Because I remember we used to have about 600-700 kids in College Career Promise before all the calendar changes. What kind of numbers totally district-wide or in the Forsyth County do you have for just rough number of College Career Promise students?
And Commissioner Martin, that is a really good question. I am hoping that my Vice President for Strategy and Outreach, who was listening into this meeting, will text me in just a moment with that exact number, if she's still able to be with us. But it is around 1,100 students, as I recall. Good. Now, I do hope that if that number's wrong, that someone will let me know, and I can certainly give you the exact number. We have made a targeted recruitment effort. First of all, we have worked very closely in the past year and a half especially the past year and a half, with our partners at Winston-Salem and Forsyth County Schools to work on some barriers that were helping us really be able to grow that program the way both of us want it to. We've made substantial progress with that. So those numbers have gone up dramatically over the past year and a half. But I will say that I just got confirmation that my number was not correct. I think that 1,100 is our goal for the next 2 years, but what they are telling me is that there are about 700 total. 1,100 was the number for everything, including Stokes County. So, Commissioner, for just Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, it's about 750-ish in total. That includes early college students and middle college students, and total it's about 1,100 for our two county service area.
Well, let me just follow up. To what extent is this calendar issue a problem? Because part of this came up in our North Carolina Association of County Commissioners a steering committee meeting this week. Talked about that very issue of another try to get the school calendar issue, aligned with community colleges, and it's one of the County Commissioner Association goals. And there was even an idea floated that commissioners might be able to be a help if we approve that. Maybe the Senate, our North Carolina Senate, might go along with it. To what extent is that a barrier? It was a huge barrier a number of years ago. I'm just curious, because I actually think some of your online work may eliminate some of those barriers. I'm just curious how big a barrier the calendar is right now that's being unaligned with you.
Yes, honestly, that has not been our biggest barrier, or one that has actually been significantly on my radar. it would be much, much better, in my opinion, in all of our opinions, if the calendar was aligned. But our classes end about the second week in December, so our semester runs August through December.
Right.
The students finish up with us, and then, of course, they do have to come back, and they have not finished before Christmas on the school side. But they have taken care of our classes. They're out of exams, and it really hasn't been that much of a barrier for us. From the student perspective, they're still taking the classes. They would prefer if they were all on the same calendar. But again, that has not been our biggest barrier with getting students enrolled.
Do they, last
I hope
question.
that answers your question.
This is my last question.
Sure.
I'm going to quit. I'll stop, get off this track. But are you getting enough students that'll come? Because essentially you're starting in August is before the traditional K-12 calendar begins. Are you getting kids to start on time with your calendar in the college career promise programs? Or are you you're adjusting your stuff ultimately to start when the school starts, K-12 starts?
Yes, we do offer adjusted schedules. So we will, for example, our typical semester is 15 weeks, but we will adjust and have classes that start in 14 or 12-week cycles so that our students in the high schools can start later. So we do some of that. That is not a huge problem for us because we actually run classes that are on different lengths throughout the semester. The biggest barrier, I will say, is the transportation issues that can occur when we start before the school system does. So we do have that, and that is probably the biggest issue related to the calendar.
I got it. Thanks for that information. I'm sorry it took up so much time.
Additional questions or comments from the commissioners?
One question, please, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Springer, thank you very much for the presentation. I want to put something on your radar real quick. I serve on the diversity board for Wake Forest PA system or physician assistance program, and they're going to start a program hopefully at Carver. They want to include you to get some of these students involved in physician assistance careers starting in the 9th grade. And my job was to ask you to please consider that. And I have another job to talk to our superintendent and also the principal at Carver. So you're the first one at bat.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'm privileged to be first, and absolutely, we would love to talk with Wake Forest about that.
Okay, then thank you very much.
Further questions?
Thank you. I will reach out, Commissioner. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Janet Spriggs, thank you very much for this report. It was very enlightening. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Turn the
Thank
meeting
you
over
so
now
much.
to County Manager Dudley Watts.
Okay. So I think the other discussion item we have today, or presentation, is from kind of combined from Animal Services and the Humane Society. I believe we have Van Lovin with the Sheriff's Department and Sarah Williamson from the Humane Society on the line. And I'm not sure which one of those wants to go first. I assume it'll be ladies first, and Ms. Williamson will lead off, unless I am wrong.
Thank you, Dudley. Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. Can you share the screen? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Van.
Well, very good. Y'all are in the same room. That is helpful then.
So while Van is teeing up the presentation, I just want to say thank you for your time this afternoon. We're going to take about 15 minutes to share the state of our partnership and our contract with the county and our 2020 results. The Humane Society has been in partnership with Forsyth County for about 3 years now, and with the Sheriff's Department for about a year and a half, and the partnership is strong. You may know we've taken with our community a big goal here to increase the save rate of shelter cats and dogs in Forsyth County from 36% in 2017 to 90% by the year 2023. And a good question is, why is it 90%? Why is the goal 90% and not 100%? And the answer is simply a common acknowledgement in animal welfare that, one, we don't adopt out animals who are going to be a public safety risk, and two, we make the same humane decision in shelter that you or I would make for a cat or a dog living in our home who is sick, suffering, and at end of life. So where are we? I'm delighted to share that as of the end of 2020 COVID-19 year, we are sustaining at a 75% save rate.
Sarah, your the slideshow actually is not moving forward. All we see is the PowerPoint. We're still on slide 1, so you may want to.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's take a moment, see if we can figure that out.
That's good. They can see those now.
There
Can
we
you
go.
see, how about now?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
Or something like that.
sure, that's great. Thank you very much. So, to dive down into the data, it's so bad.
Sorry.
You're fine. These are our categories of work, and I'd like to tick through them briefly and share with you what they mean to us at the shelter. And I'm going to draw your attention to the far right side under variance, where you see a series of red arrows pointing down, and that's an indicator of the top line, which says intake, and this is the number of captain dogs who came into our care in shelter, and you can see that it is down significantly in 2020 from 2019. 2019 was about 6,600 animals, and in 2020 it was about 4,600 animals. And we think the reason for this is twofold. The first is, oddly enough, this is a national trend. The shelters across the United States saw the number of animals coming into care during COVID decline or decrease. We all thought we would be flooded with animals due to the potential economic hit, but in fact we were not, and we're thankful for that. We believe it's because people are at home more, they're working from home, and they're enjoying their animals, and goodness knows, walking Fido 3 days a week is great, three times a day is a great reason to step away from the Zoom screen that we are all looking at right now. But the second and perhaps more enduring reason for the decline in nose count in shelter, I believe is because of the good work that Captain Loveland and his team have committed to doing in the community in terms of community outreach. So the first step is never to simply bring the animal into the shelter, and Captain Loveland will talk about that in just a little bit. Next one is adoption. Adoptions continued strong in COVID year. The third line is reunion. That's when we have a lost or stray cat or dog come into our shelter, and we do our best to find the owner, hopefully through microchip or through photo identification. And we reunited 674 beloved cats and dogs last year, which is great. Transfer took a big impact in COVID, and transfer is when we export animals to other rescues. We work locally here with two other great nonprofits, ART and Stepping Stones, but significant numbers in previous years of animals have been transferred to other states. So we have partner shelters in Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Delaware, DC, and New Jersey. And oddly enough, they are interested in importing animals because they're a little bit further along than we are here in North Carolina in terms of spaying and neutering these animals and getting the number of unwanted or homeless animals down. So with COVID, we put this program on hiatus for 3 months. We did not want to send employees or volunteers into other high-risk areas during especially the initial period of COVID. Foster continues to be amazing. Almost 4,000 times in 2020, the amazing families of Forsyth County opened their homes and their hearts to provide our shelter cats and dogs a temporary home. And that's important because it opens up a kennel space in the shelter. And if you do the math, the number of animals versus the number of days in a year, an average of 13 cats and dogs come into our shelter every day. So it is necessary for us to find homes and spaces for those animals. And here's a sales secret. Of those foster families, 30% of them who say, I'm just going to take this animal for 2 weeks, end up being a proud member of what we call the Foster Sale Club. And that's a great thing. It means that you've fallen in love and you're adopting the animal. And I am a member of that club. So euthanasia is also down a little bit. That's great. Returns, this is the metric that I'm most proud of, funnily enough. This is when we adopt an animal out and he comes back to us because he's not a good fit. And the reason I'm proud of this number is because it's flat year to year. And with COVID, we completely revolutionized and changed how we were operating. We consolidated operations with the Sheriff's Department at the county shelter. We remained open throughout the whole year, but we had closed door policy. We required people to make appointments, which worked really well, and we managed adoption and foster matches virtually and digitally. And then we did curbside delivery of those animals, and that obviously worked well because the return rate is low. And then finally on this chart, Spay Neuter Surgeries, I want to thank you, commissioners. Last year you helped fund the opportunity for us to upfit and kit out a space at the county shelter so that we could open up our own spay, neuter, and minor surgical procedure theater. That is running, it is running well, and it's been a huge success. Our staff is more efficient, our animals are less stressed, and we are able to move animals out of the shelter for adoption faster. Thank you for that. The key drivers in the changes in data in 2020 were dog bites are up, feral cats are down, and as I mentioned, intake overall is down, and I'm going to ask Captain Loveland to address that.
Yes, so good afternoon, commissioners and everyone in attendance. Yeah, I'd like to speak quickly about the great partnership that we do have with the Humane Society. You know, we have been doing this for just a little over 18 months now. Things are working really, really great. Me and Sarah, you know, we have very open lines of communication where we are working together to assist citizens out in the public and make sure that we're doing what's right for cats and dogs and all animals in Forsyth County. I will tell you that we have taken the initiative from Sheriff Kimbrough and that we are building our relationships out in the community and serving the residents more and not necessarily taking the cite type mentality where we go out and we just cite them for violations. We are actually taking a more educational stance on it, and we're educating the members of the public about the ordinances and the laws that they may not be aware of, and then helping them with resources, either Unchained Winston or the Humane Society or other organizations like Forever Friends that can assist them with either getting fences fixed, getting kennels put up, getting food if they need that to keep their animal, whatever. And we're trying to keep more animals out in the community and helping the residents become responsible pet owners versus just bringing those animals back to the shelter. So we're really taking a different approach in how we go about working with the citizens out in the community. And so that's why I say we're building those bridges with both the welfare, the animal welfare organizations, as well as the community members, and trying to come about it from three different sides and bringing everyone together to make the community safer for all animals and for us, and helping our numbers and, of course, the staff at the shelter. A big change that we have done last year is that we started drive-through rabies clinics. So we wanted to continue with that, but prior to that, we were bringing people into the shelter and getting their animals vaccinated. Of course, with COVID, we had to rethink that, and it's actually been very beneficial to us in that we are now doing drive-up. They have an appointment time, they come in, and instead of spending an hour to an hour and a half at the shelter, they spend about 15 minutes. They get their vaccination while the animal is in the vehicle so that we don't have to worry about it coming out of the vehicle, and then they're on their way. And so we've been very successful with that, and our plans are to continue with that type of thing for our rabies clinics because it does work so well. So that's what I have for our update.
Great.
Turn it back over to Sarah.
Okay. So we saw dog bite incidents go up during COVID, and Captain Loveland and I think because people are home with their dogs. You can skip past that.
Okay, all right.
And then feral cats, the number of feral cats coming into shelter went down. And feral cats are cats who are born and raised and live outside in the community. They typically have very little human interaction, and the interaction they do have is fearful and dangerous. So Captain Loveland has taken the approach of not trapping these cats, which we appreciate. And if the community wants to trap them, they can. And if they bring them into our shelter, we will do our best to evaluate them. But they don't have a good prognosis for adoptability because they are a safety risk and not likely to be comfortable in a home. So what do we plan to do for 2021? We plan to continue to leverage the investment that you all made in our Spay and Neuter clinic. We have created a partnership with another great 501c3 nonprofit here in town called Humane Solutions, to focus on these feral cats who are out in the community. And you've seen them running around in your neighborhood, I'm sure. But Humane Solutions partners with the community to trap the cats. We bring them to our surgery suite, we fix them, and then we put them back out from where they came. And they can live their best feral lives out in the community, but the important thing is they're not going to be making more kittens. And just FYI, female kitten can start making more kittens as young as 4 months. She can have 3 litters a year, and a litter can be up to 9 kittens, so you can do the math. That can be a lot of cats, 1, running around our community, and 2, potentially coming into shelter. And then the last thing that we want to do this year, and I know we all want to do this year, is rebound from COVID-19. I think, as Van mentioned about the Rabies Clinics, we've all learned a lot about different and better ways that we can operate, and so we are committed to carrying those changes forward as we open back up to our community from COVID-19. And then finally, just to pull on your heartstrings a little bit, this is why we do what we do. This is Corinne. She came into our shelter in October. She weighed 15 pounds. And here's another interesting fact for you. It is very human nature when you see an emaciated animal like this to want to feed them as much food as possible, and that is actually the wrong thing to do. There could be organ damage or other medical issues from the severe starvation, and the body is probably already shutting down to food. So what you do is you put this very skinny animal on a regimen diet of special food, very small doses over a period of time, and that's what we did. She had community effort. She had 3 foster families while she was with us, and then on the right, there is Corinne leaving our shelter, being adopted in January, fighting weight of 44 pounds, confident, healthy, and loved. Thank you.
And I will speak just for a minute too, real quick on. I know Sarah said that our dog bites are up. We have done a couple of public service announcements about that, and it's just that people are home more and they're with their animals more. The animals are not getting sort of their time away from the humans, and so they're they get a little irritated, like we do as humans ourselves. So we have done a couple of public service announcements about making sure the animals have sort of their quiet space and time in the home, and making sure that we notify the citizens of that. And talking about the feral cats as well, we do want to keep feral cats out in the community. As Sarah said, we want to get them spayed or neutered, but they are good because they do take care of small rodents and things of that, and so they help keep that population down, which is a type of animal that could spread rabies and other public health hazards. So we're working in conjunction with Humane Solutions and Humane Society in fixing those feral cats and getting them back out where they can be productive in the community as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for Captain Loveland or Ms. Williamson?
One question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the report. I wanted to ask one question about processing. I got a letter and an email from a single mother who said her child's puppy was taken, that's one side of the story, from the house, and it was done somewhat upon a deceitful manner. The bottom line, the dog bit someone or bit the child, they had to take the animal. But when she went to the animal shelter, she was told that she had so many days, they had to keep the dog, etc. But she was not aware of a $140 fee she had to pay. Now, when an animal is taken like that, are the home pet owners informed about the cost to come back and pick the animal up as a general policy?
Yeah, so what happens is when we have an animal that does a bite, we try to quarantine it at the home if we can. However, if there is no record of a current rabies vaccination, we have to quarantine that animal at the shelter because we want to make sure that the animal does not have rabies and will not pass it on to humans as they can do. So the case you're talking about, that animal had no rabies vaccination, so we did bring it to the shelter. We do provide them with a sheet that has information on there about the associated cost when that happens. Unfortunately, the Humane Society takes care of the care and custody of those animals, and so we have to try to pass on some of that cost back to the resident because it does get very expensive if we have a lot of bite animals in the shelter. But we do have information that we do pass along to the owner of the animal that explains the cost associated with the rabies vaccination, the licensing, the microchipping, which are things that are required, as well as the daily fee of keeping that animal in the shelter because of there not being a valid rabies vaccination on that animal.
Okay.
I would just add that typically the only fees that we really want to collect are microchip and rabies, which are required, and that's about $25. Everything else is up to staff judgment because we want the animal to go back to his loving home.
Well, she was reconnected with the animals. Someone came along and paid the fee for it, but I wanted to find out the processing so I know in the future how that whole process works. So thank you very much.
So thanks to Van Loveland and Sarah Williamson, and we'll turn the meeting back over to a really cool cat, Dudley Watts.
Chairman. The only other item we have really is just to finalize the agenda for the Thursday, March 18th meeting, so I'll run through this fairly quickly. We've got a few additions that we need to talk about, but I'll go ahead and dive into that. First item is the public hearing by the Board of Commissioners of Forsyth County regarding the issuance of not to exceed $12 million of Public Finance Authority revenue bonds by the YMCA of Northwest North Carolina. And you've got a resolution approving in principle the issuance of these bonds for the benefit of this nonprofit. I think the county attorney mentioned it last Thursday. Really, the goal of this, there's no obligation, financial obligation on behalf of the county. It's really just acknowledging this is a tax-exempt worthy status. So, any question?
Questions, comments?
All right.
Okay.
Very good. Item two is a public hearing on the Doral Drive Ronolda Road Interchange plan. You've got a resolution adopting that if y'all deem that's appropriate. Marco Andretti with Planning and Development Services reviewed that last Thursday. If you've got any questions.
Comments or questions?
Okay. Items 3 and 4, we did not review last Thursday just because of some technical issues. They are both resolutions requesting abandonment of a portion of two roads, Pack Drive from the North Carolina State Maintained Highway Secondary Road System and Bowman Road from the North Carolina State Maintained Secondary System. We have made some improvements, and I believe we've got David Reed on the line with Planning and Development Services. Dave, if you could review both items 3 and 4, it'd be helpful. You there?
Okay, I'll try and share my screen right now.
Very good. If you can just speak loudly, you should be in good shape.
Okay, this is a resolution requesting abandonment of a portion of Pack Drive from the Ncdot maintenance system. Pack Drive is located just north of Walkertown, and you can see from the aerial the portion under consideration. The last 413 feet of Pack Drive extends into property owned by the Reynolds brothers, and it terminates at the newly built home of Seth Reynolds. Because of the location of the new home and other existing outbuildings on the Reynolds property, there's no reasonable expectation that Pack Drive will ever be extended, and this section will only serve the Reynolds property. Planning staff therefore recommends adopting the resolution requesting abandonment of maintenance for this portion of Pack Drive. I'll be happy to try and answer any questions you have.
Questions or comments? Not a one.
Okay, I'll move on to the next one, and you might have a deja vu experience because it's a very similar situation. This is Bowman Road. It's a resolution requesting abandonment of a portion of Bowman Road from the Ncdot maintenance system. And Bowman Road is in the northern part of the county, extends north off of Pine Hall Road, is west of Blues Lake. And you can see from the aerial photo the portion under consideration. The last 688 feet of Bowman Road extends into property owned entirely by Carrie and Teresa Love and terminates in front of one of their outbuildings. Because of the proximity of several outbuildings to the road, there is no reasonable expectation that Bowman Road will ever be extended, and this section will only serve the Love property. Planning staff therefore recommends adopting the resolution requesting abandonment of maintenance for this portion of Bowman Road. Very happy to try and answer any questions.
On this item and on the last item, does that mean the Love sisters and the Reynolds brothers will be responsible for maintaining the road?
Yes, they can. once the maintenance is abandoned, if they would like, they can petition to close the right-of-way, and then it would become their property. Otherwise, they would just have to, there would be no state maintenance anymore on that section of right-of-way.
Are they aware of that?
I do not know. The petition went to Ncdot, and they reached out to you for this resolution. I don't know if Ncdot shares with them. I believe Randy Ogburn is on the call with Ncdot. He might be able to answer that question.
Yeah. What's the cost on maintaining those roads if they wanted to do it?
That would be up to how well they want to maintain them, I guess. Other sections of unopened right-of-way are maintained by people. They come out with their tractor. They take care of it themselves. I know the cost of closing the right-of-way has a fairly significant advertising cost involved, but that is something that they could do if they were interested.
That would be their idea and their assumption of the cost associated. Is that correct?
Correct.
Additional questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item 5 is approval of the minutes of the meetings of February 25th, March 1st, and March 4th of 2021. Appreciate the clerk and staff getting those squared away. Item 6 is the public session. Item 7 is amendment to the 2020-2021 Capital Reserve Fund. It appropriates refunding bond proceeds for future debt service costs related to the 2021 C general obligation refunding bond issuance. Lee Plunkett with Finance reviewed that. If you have questions. All right. Item 8 is similar. It's an amendment to the FY 2021 Debt Service Fund to appropriate $22,550,000 of 2021 C general obligation refunding bond proceeds for the redemption of the callable maturities that are listed there. Lee also reviewed that.
Questions, comments?
All right. Okay. Agenda item 9 is an amendment to the 2020-2021 budget ordinance. It appropriates grant funds from the North Carolina Land and Water Fund, the old conservation fund, I'm used to saying it that way, to acquire property on Blues Lake. Christopher Ong with Budget and Management reviewed that, and we just needed those funds budgeted so we can move forward with that.
Comments? No comment.
All right. Item 10 is a resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to an agreement between Forsyth County and the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education for the provision of school resource officers positions, and you got an amendment to the fiscal year 2021 budget ordinance. It adds 13 deputy positions for pre-hire in advance of that school year. Janice Hillenbrand reviewed that, and that is part of that shift over from the city to the Sheriff's Department in providing that service.
Questions? All right.
Item 11 is a resolution authorizing submission of an application to the NC Impact Initiative at the North Carolina UNC School of Government to apply for and accept, if awarded, a grant for the My Future NC network of local educational attainment collaboratives program. Taylor Hutchins with Community and Economic Development, who really works in that whole workforce development collaboration initiative that the board funded. She reviewed that.
Questions?
Okay. Item 12 is a resolution authorizing execution of an engagement letter between Forsyth County and Parker Poe Adams and Bernstein LLP for additional bond counsel services related to the 2021 C general obligation refunding bonds.
Questions or comments?
All right, we're moving. So item 13 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement between Forsyth County and the Resource Company Incorporated to provide temporary employment services for non-clinical COVID-19 vaccination in response to the Department of Public Health.
Questions?
All right. Item 14 is a resolution authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement between Forsyth County and the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education for use of county-owned fuel pumps located at 3730 North Liberty Street. Kirby Robinson reviewed that, and I believe that Daryl Walker is on the line. Do either Kirby or Daryl, do you have anything to add to this item? I know there were a few questions.
Dudley, I'll jump in. This is Daryl. Just to answer Mr. Elamine, I think Dr. Martin's questions about relocation of buses. That process is taking place. We've relocated those buses to our North Forsyth lot. We've done a little expansion over there. Abraham Elementary, the new Paisley bus lot area of the new school, and East Forsyth Middle. And so that distribution, and Walker County Elementary, I apologize. So those distributions have taken place, and those buses are currently operating out of those sites.
Very good. Any other questions for Daryl? Thank you, Daryl.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll jump on in. Item 15 is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of 4 easements from the City of Winston-Salem related to the construction and operation of the new Forsyth County Courthouse located on Chestnut Street. Chelsea Swain had reviewed those. Those easements are still being worked through, and there are some details that I know Deputy Manager Damon Sanders Pratt and Gordon are working through to try to get ironed out. So they could be modified a bit before the board finalizes those next Thursday. We just needed to keep this going because we don't want to slow down construction in any way. Gordon, did you have anything to add to that?
No, we're waiting to get those back from the city, but I have attached to your items the map which shows where those easements will be. And so if you look at that, you can see the last page on the left, the orientation of that is the building we're in is the upper left. The upper right will be where, there you go. The upper right will be where the new building is. And so the rear part of that is an easement, which had been used as parking. That will be part of the property that we're using now. Patterson Street there'll be a temporary easement there. A lot of that street's already been torn up due to placing stormwater and whatnot. So they are working on the site as we speak. And then the bottom left is where the current detention center is. And if you look at the top of that building, you can see a little kind of rectangle going across 2nd Street. That's where the tunnel will go. It will go to that lot, the bottom right, and take a left turn and will go across Chestnut into the new courthouse. And so that's where the tunnel will be. And so anyhow, this just shows those easements, but there are actually going to be 5 easements that are put into one document. And so we're just trying to finalize the terms on that.
Questions for Gordon? When does the tunnel work begin? Have any idea?
I don't know. The tunnel work is not, I don't think that needs to be done immediately. What really needs to be done is shoring up, supporting Chestnut Street. If you look at it now, it kind of drops off. It's got some ancient bricks or whatever, and so we want to make sure that when we start moving dirt and putting in foundations, obviously we don't want Chestnut Street to collapse into the new construction site, and so we'll need an easement to shore that up. And from what I've heard, that shoring will probably remain in place just because it's so difficult to remove, and so that'll be a benefit to keep that section of street more firm going forward in the future. So I think that's probably more important, but eventually you're right that the tunnel will have to be built. And as I've been told, you think of a tunnel, you think of digging a tunnel like boring or something, but it will probably just be dug up because that would be simpler and would allow us to work better around the pipes or replace the pipes that are currently there. So that's my impression as to how it will be done.
That sure does add a lot of excitement to the construction part, doesn't it? Okay.
I assume there's no consideration for these easements of any sort.
That's correct. But we obviously, we have to put it back the way it was. So, we have to repave the street and all that. So, and we certainly will.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, very good. Item 16 is a hearing on a request for a refund of an excise tax overpayment upon the recommendation of the county review officer. You got an associated resolution that could be acted on after the hearing. And Timothy Williams, we had a little technical issue last Thursday. You there, Mr. Williams?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Good afternoon, Manager. Today I'm before you to request a refund for the Barbara Stewart law firm. They had inadvertently or mistakenly recorded a deed back on August the 28th in our county, whereas it should have been recorded in Davidson County. The excise tax that was collected for that particular transfer was $770. So at the time the deed was recorded, the deed of trust was recorded, and once they realized the error of their ways, they did subsequently go to Davidson County and record that same document there, whereby they recorded the deed and the deed of trust as well there, and they pay the excise tax to Davidson County. There is evidence that's before you by way of the deed of trust, the receipts, recorder's receipts, the receipt whereby Simplifile, which was the mechanism or e-file vendor that they utilized for the recording, that receipt is there as well for both counties, both Forsyth County as well as Davidson County. As well, they have recorded an affidavit to that effect in our office about the inadvertent recording of the deed and deed of trust in our county. So everything seems to be sufficient for the refund of that said amount of money back to them for the excise tax that was paid on that conveyance.
Questions or comments? Not a one. You explained that very well, Timothy.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. So
Yes, sir. You want-
So item 17 are a number of appointments, and those have closed. And so you can review those. Item 18 is a resolution awarding a contract for the purchase of Dodge Durango police pursuit vehicles for use by emergency services. You've got an associated amendment to the budget ordinance to essentially allow for non-capitalized equipment to upfit the 3 vehicles. We had a couple of them out in the parking deck. Everybody could review, as staff has reviewed it further, I basically got clarification from staff that they were satisfied with purchasing all 3 of the V6.
And that's it?
Yep.
Except we're going to turn the meeting over now to Commissioner
sorry.
Gloria Wisenhunt.
No. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I thought, when you asked if it was all, I thought for that item. There is one added item, item 19, which is a resolution ratifying and authorizing execution of an interlocal agreement with the City of Winston for administration of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program funds. We added this item so that we will, and I apologize, we are introducing it for the first time, but we really wanted to try to get this adopted by the board so we can get on with the administration of the program. There's a lot of enthusiasm to try to get this out there. So anyway, Chantel, do you want to say anything else before we turn it over to Victor? Okay, so our Social Services Director, Victor Isler, should be on the line. Victor, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
All right, awesome. So good afternoon to our chair, vice chair, and commissioners. You have before you an interlocal agreement for us to enter into partnership with the City of Winston-Salem to deploy the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Please note in this Emergency Rental Assistance Program interlocal agreement, it is our effort to make a one-stop shop. Prior to March, there were funds that were allocated through the Forsyth County Community for Economic Development to support this program. And due to the Department of Social Services' role in determining eligibility for such funds, we have entered into partnership, and we think that it is in our best interest to work with the city so our citizens can have a one-stop shop experience with deploying of these funds. And so please note that the city has engaged in a bidding process for case management services as well as an electronic online application process through Neighborly, and also the eligibility case management program will be provided by Tetra Tech. Forsyth County was involved in that committee process and scoring. And at this point in time, we want to move forward to begin to make efforts to deploy this program by March the 29th, if not by the first week of April. And so with that being said, I do open the floor for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Eisner? You did a good job, Mr. Eisner.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Turn the meeting over to Mrs. Gloria Wisenhunt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you guys are aware, I'm sure you know that this is National Women's Month.
Really?
It really is. So I would like for us to recognize one of our women today, if we might. I'd like to ask Ashley Sloop to join me. Ashley has added a title to her name. She's now Ashley M. Sloop, CMC, which is a certified municipal clerk.
Yay.
And she was certified by the International Institute Municipal Clerk. And she has completed the requirements prescribed by the International Institute of Municipal Clerks for certification. And we would like to thank you for your hard work and for your initiative and for your graduation. Thank you. You're great. Thank you.
Mrs. Whisenhunt, you did a great job on that, and for the record, I'm all for women.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
I just want to know when Men's Month is. I'm kind of curious.
Every day,
What was that?
every day.
The 13th month, that's good, Mr. Kaplan. Oh, man, okay. Well, I guess that's it. Do we have any other terse and gutty comments from the commissioners today? Nothing terse, nothing gutty? Okay, well, once again, thank you all very much for coming. Mr. County Manager, you did a wonderful job, as always. Good to have your right-hand girl right there, lady, woman, you're very important, so it's good to have you with us. And of course, we couldn't succeed today without legal advice from the guru of county government. Thank you very much, Court. If Mr. Kaplan is ready, Mr. Kaplan says we need to move and adjourn. I'll second the motion. We are adjourned.